My sister held her wedding banquet with my fiancé at a 5-star hotel. Fearing I'd cause trouble, Mother locked me in a pitch-black basement. After the ceremony, my sister casually asked, "Where's my sister?" Mother replied dismissively, "Who knows where that sickly girl's gallivanting off to now, always making trouble." My brother fumed, "At least she knows better than to show up and embarrass us. If she dares come, I'll have security throw her out." My father snarled, "That ungrateful wretch. As far as I'm concerned, I have no daughter." The basement was pitch black, like a monstrous maw gaping wide to devour me whole. During my heart attack, with my last ounce of strength, I called my mother, brother, and father in turn, but no one answered. I listened to the endless dial tone for 3 minutes, and by the time I remembered I could call 120, I had no strength left, and so, I died alone in my own home. After death, my spirit wandered aimlessly until somehow I drifted into my sister's wedding ceremony. I heard with my own ears how casually my family dismissed my disappearance, as if merely mentioning me brought them shame. Yeah, I should have faced this reality long ago. Maybe I was never meant to be born into this family. My very existence is a sin. Born with congenital heart disease, I've been fighting this relentless battle since childhood. I've undergone numerous medical interventions and surgical procedures, both major and minor. Each time I lay on that cold operating table, it felt like groping through darkness. With fear gripping my heart, struggling at death's door, I experienced both life's fragility and resilience. Clenching my teeth, I pulled through those harrowing moments time and again. The butler always accompanied me to surgeries, bustling about so diligently that hospital staff mistook me for his daughter, remarking how fortunate he was with his employers. It was their first time encountering such a generous household, willing to cover the exorbitant medical bills for the housekeeper's daughter. What they didn't know was that I'm actually the master's daughter. Not that I blamed them. Few people knew the Lawrences had a second daughter. My younger brother was bright-eyed, quick-witted, and utterly charming. My sister carries herself with grace and possesses remarkable intelligence, while I'm just a sickly burden to this family. That's why I couldn't even keep the marriage arranged since my childhood, all because of my sister's ambiguous remark. Despite my desperate pleas, my mother resolutely took me to the Shao family to break off the engagement, transferring my betrothal to my sister. My sister's wedding banquet was grand, with guests as numerous as clouds. Glasses clinked amid hearty laughter as the guests toasted merrily. The banquet hall buzzed with jubilant energy, every soul immersed in this blissful moment, witnessing the most important occasion of my sister's life. Soon after, I heard my mother cursing non-stop. "Where the hell has that wretched girl gone? Why aren't you answering your calls? How dare you? Why on earth would the Shao family mention her? What terrible luck." At that moment, I truly understood the meaning of "important people have short memories." After just one night, Mother had completely forgotten she'd locked me in the basement. Of course, I've never crossed her mind. Why would she remember such trivial things? The younger brother patted their mother's back and comforted her gently. "Mom, the Shao family was just being polite. Don't take it to heart. Let her go wherever she wants. Better yet, may she rot out there." Nodding in agreement, the mother replied, "Son, you truly understand me. What sin did I commit to deserve birthing that wretched creature? Who knows how people are mocking me behind my back? I truly regret not smothering her at birth." Father frowned and cut Mother off. "Shut your mouth. Don't talk nonsense." A secret delight welled up unexpectedly in my heart. They say a father's love is as solid as a mountain, so perhaps Father still harbors some tenderness toward me. He's just never been good at expressing it. But my father's next words crushed any last hope in me. I heard him say coldly, "It's supposed to be a joyous occasion. Don't bring that up. You'll jinx everything." I let out a faint chuckle. Perhaps death would be my best way out. My father, mother, and younger brother all despise me to this extent, but my sister, I glanced over and saw her in the crowd, like a regal princess arm in arm with her prince. Look how radiant her smile is. With me gone, sister can finally rest easy. I followed sister to her bridal chamber, a garden villa where sunflowers bloomed in one corner, every single one planted by my own hands, from the moment those seeds were buried. I poured all my hopes and love into them. I thought to myself, I'll marry my Julian when the sunflowers bloom. That will be the happiest moment of my life. I've imagined this beautiful scene countless times, golden sunflowers basking in sunlight, mirroring the joy overflowing in my heart. These sunflowers stand as witnesses to our love. 2. My sister was calling the butler, her voice low and firm. Fetch the second young miss. Have her take the call, the butler replied cautiously. Miss, I've searched the house 3 or 4 times, but there's no sign of the young mistress. I saw my sister staring blankly at the immature sunflowers in the distance after hanging up the phone. She seemed to let out a sigh, or perhaps it was just a breath. She picked up her phone again and called the villa staff. Notify me immediately the moment there's any news about second miss. The more I listened, the more ironic and absurd it all felt. The first person who asked about me was my sister. And the one genuinely trying to find me was also my sister, yet this very sister was the one who stole Julian from me. She knew perfectly well that marrying Julian had been my lifelong dream. It was this very thought that kept me enduring the torment of illness time and again. I'll never forget that moment a month ago in our living room. I accidentally overheard my sister sighing to our mother. I saw Julian today. He's literally every girl's dream man. Mother's eyes flickered as she asked gently yet earnestly, Elise, you, my sister flushed crimson, keeping her head bowed in silence. At dawn the next day, Mother practically dragged me to the Shao residence to break off the engagement. When I refused, she threatened to take her own life. Just like that, my marriage arrangement was transferred to my sister, but I knew she already had a boyfriend. Why did she have to steal my Julian? She already had father, mother, and a younger brother. How could she be so greedy? Why did I have to have a sister? Do all older sisters act like this? Though Julian was heir to the Shao family fortune, he tragically lost his voice to illness at age 3, reduced to high society's laughingstock. His plight became worse than mine, the notorious sickly child, with both families equally matched. The arranged marriage was practically inevitable. My parents couldn't bear to see my sister suffer, so this arranged marriage fell to me instead. My heart swelled with joy, counting every day until I'd grow up. Julian was the first person I wanted to see every morning when I woke. We were inseparable, playing in gardens, flying kites, hiding in games of tag, walking to and from school together. Kids our age would always keep their distance, saying we were both sick, that we carried germs and were contagious. The year Julian turned 20, his muteness suddenly disappeared. After that, we saw each other less and less. We'd only occasionally meet at gatherings or during holidays. He took over the family business and became increasingly prominent. Deep down, I'm truly terrified. Even though we're engaged, what should I do if he falls for another girl? I'd probably step aside, since I don't have a healthy constitution. But it never crossed my mind that this other girl would turn out to be my own sister, my flesh and blood. I'd rather she were a stranger. This pain wouldn't cut so deep. My heart burns like scorched oil, leaving me sleepless night after night. Why are you doing this to me? What did I do wrong? Sensing my thoughts, Mother summoned me to the study and gave me a stern warning. Anna, you must understand propriety and decency. Julian will be your brother-in-law now. Don't let me catch you entertaining any improper thoughts about him. I protested indignantly, but Julian was originally my fiancé. Mother said matter-of-factly, the marriage arrangement between our families should naturally be your sister's choice first. I retorted, but she already has a boyfriend. Mother slapped me hard across the face. Don't ever let me hear such nonsense again. Julian is the only man who'll become your brother-in-law. Later I learned that my sister's boyfriend came from a poor family. Mother had long since driven him away with humiliation, and no one knew where he'd gone. 3. No wonder my sister could steal my engagement so effortlessly. She had nothing holding her back anymore. Wedding night, my sister and Julian gazed lovingly into each other's eyes, their hands clasped tightly together. Elise suddenly spoke up. Julian, Anna's gone missing. There's still no word from her, without even furrowing his brow. Julian replied indifferently, she means nothing to me. Elise persisted softly, aren't you the least bit worried? Gently stroking Elise's hair, Julian murmured tenderly, Elise, you've been the only one in my heart since we were children. My heart still ached uncontrollably. My very existence feels like a cruel joke. Seriously, sis, still testing me even now. Testing what exactly? Testing if anyone genuinely cares about me, only to confirm nobody does. Would that make my sister happy? I think maybe it would. After all, she's never liked anyone being kind to me since we were kids, destroying everything I cherish. That's just how she's always been. When I was 10, Julian gave me an adorable Shiba Inu. I named him Dudu. Dudu stayed with me for less than a week before Mom gave him away, claiming my sister was allergic to dog hair. Yet just the day before, I'd seen my sister playing with Dudu in the garden. She hugged Dudu and was completely fine, I told them, but no one believed me. Mother flew into a rage. You little liar, always slandering your sister, you're no daughter of mine. Brother snapped in shame and anger. Anna, how could I have a sister like you? Get out of my house. My father was unyielding. Enough talk, the dog goes, and from now on no pets are allowed in this house. When I was 12, a relatively young maid came to work for our family. The previous servants had all kept their distance, terrified my episodes might implicate them. But this maid would listen to me with endless patience. She would tell me jokes and play with me. She reassured me that getting sick wasn't my fault, that I'd done nothing wrong, and kept cheering me up. She said we were best friends and promised to always stay by my side, telling me not to be afraid. Later, when my sister noticed we'd grown too close, she fired her without hesitation. My sister flew into a rage, sternly warning the household staff to keep their distance from me or face immediate dismissal. From then on, the servants maintained at least 10 paces between us whenever I appeared. I still remember how she looked down at me coldly, saying, Anna, no one shows kindness without reason. Don't trust anyone. Stop deluding yourself. Nobody in this house truly cares for you. I burned with fury, desperate to shout my rebuttal as the fire in my chest threatened to erupt. My heart ached with such overwhelming bitterness that tears kept streaming down my face, falling one after another with soft pattering sounds on the floor. Deep down I knew my sister was right. Nobody truly cared about me. If no one noticed me while I was alive, my death would be even more insignificant. The lights in the bridal chamber had gone out unnoticed. I drifted back home, the hillside villa where I grew up. The house was brightly lit, with steaming dishes laid out on the table. I saw the housekeeper hiding in the kitchen, wiping away tears and murmuring, Miss Anna, where have you been? Have you been eating properly? Please come home soon. The maid instinctively set 4 place settings before realizing her mistake and moving to remove one. Mother raised her hand to stop her, smiling, leave it, from now on, we'll keep it this way. I want Elise to feel at home the moment she returns. This seat will always be hers. I wasn't being presumptuous. Of course I knew those utensils were meant for my sister. As I grew older, I rarely dined at the same table with my family. My sister would lose her appetite whenever we ate together. Over time, I lost my privilege to join them at the dining table. The butler would bring my meals to my room, leaving me to eat alone every time. The room was eerily silent, with only the sound of me chewing food breaking the stillness. At that moment, disappointment and sorrow grew wildly in my heart like unchecked weeds. Midway through the meal, Father lost his temper. He slammed his chopsticks down and demanded of the butler, Has Anna still not been found? Did you check the surveillance? Any leads? The butler hastily wiped away his tears and stepped forward respectfully. Sir, there was a power outage last night, so the surveillance system was down. The daytime footage shows the second young lady never left the premises. We've searched the entire villa but found no trace of her. The younger brother snapped impatiently. Father, why bother looking for her? Just forget it. I might as well not have a sister. The mother chimed in. Your son's right. Stop wasting manpower, resources, and money on this pointless search. That sickly child ruined my reputation. I can't even show my face at social gatherings anymore. Why won't she just die already? It'd be a relief. Mother's voice grew increasingly shrill as she spoke, her face contorting uncontrollably with features twisted together in a terrifying grimace. I always knew she disliked me, but I never imagined she'd hate me this much. Wishing me dead, I stood frozen in place, my heart shredded by countless blades, the pain so intense I could barely breathe. Aren't I supposed to be dead? Then why does my heart still ache like this? Has this pain already etched itself into my very bones? Father was furious. What do you know? Do you think I actually want to search for her? If I don't keep her under my watch, should I let her go out and make a fool of herself? I will find her no matter what, and when I do, she'll get a good scolding. It's just some man. Why all this life and death drama? Putting on airs like this is utterly despicable. What an unfilial daughter. Father was angrier than I'd ever seen him before. Anna listened quietly without a ripple of emotion left in my heart. This numbness, This feeling of utter desolation must be what they call a heart turned to ashes. This is reality, something I used to refuse to acknowledge, but now I'm dead inside. I have to face it. This place is no longer my home, maybe it never was. This is just a home for sister and brother. In the following days, I didn't reach out to them. Like a wandering spirit, I drifted everywhere, encountering all sorts of people and witnessing countless worldly sights. My heart felt lighter than ever before. On Dragon Boat Festival, I couldn't resist drifting back to the hillside villa. It was the 5th day since my sister's wedding. My sister looked somewhat weary as she came visiting with Julian. The house was bustling with activity, preparing an extravagant imperial feast. Midway through dinner, I heard my sister ask Mom, "Still no sign of Anna. Did you file a police report?" Mom grumbled about not finding her, cursing that I'd better never come back if I had the nerve. My brother tugged affectionately at our sister's sleeve and said dismissively, "Calling the cops is embarrassing, let's just search quietly." Sister's face turned even paler. She ate the rest of her meal in silence, never uttering another word. After dinner, Mother took my sister aside to her room. Speaking softly, she inquired about Elisa's time with Julian these past few days, sharing wisdom on marital harmony. "Elise, how have things been with Julian lately? Does he treat you well?" Marriage requires mutual understanding and patience. You mustn't give in to petty moods. As I listened, my mind gradually wandered away. I wondered if my mother would give me similar advice when I got married. The next moment, I snapped back to reality. I'm dead. There is no after anymore. I can't help but wonder, would Mother feel even the slightest grief if I died, even just a little? I shook my head instinctively. No, she wouldn't. She hasn't even realized I'm in the basement all this time. My corpse must be rotting by now. She's the one most likely to know my whereabouts. Yet all these days she hasn't recalled even the slightest clue. My own mother. She killed me with her own hands, murdered her flesh and blood. The night before my sister's wedding banquet, Mother came to my room. I know exactly why she's here. Truth be told, she's wasting her effort. I've already come to terms with reality. What's the point of resisting anyway? What's done is done. I can't change it, nor do I want to. I confessed to my mother that I wouldn't disrupt my sister's wedding, and if she wasn't comfortable, I could even skip attending altogether. But Mother didn't believe me. Without a word, she dragged me all the way to the basement and locked me inside. I begged her through tears, telling her I was afraid of the dark, that I'd die down there. She called me a liar and coldly walked away without looking back, slumping weakly against the door. I asked one last time, "Mom, when will you let me out?" Her distant voice floated back, "I'll have the butler unlock your door when the wedding begins." I shouted anxiously, "Mom, you have to remember, I don't want to stay here." There was no response. She had already walked away. If only Mother had freed me when the wedding began, as she promised, then I wouldn't be dying. There'd still be hope. But she didn't. I clung to her careless words as truth. 5. With my last breath, clinging to fading hope, I desperately dialed my mother's number. Only the hollow beep, beep, beep answered, each tone hammering mercilessly at my crumbling heart. My trembling fingers moved to call my brother and father, each pressed digit a silent prayer for connection. But it was all just wishful thinking. The relentless beeping tones echoed piercingly through the frigid basement. That was the countdown to my death. Each merciless beep devoured what little time and hope I had left, as my heart sank deeper into an abyss of endless darkness. My sister bid farewell to Julian and departed. Tears welled up in the mother's eyes as she reluctantly let go. With an arm around his sister's waist, Julian smiled reassuringly. "I'll treat Elise right." Her younger brother beamed sweetly. "Brother-in-law, you'd better take good care of my sister." The father gave Julian's shoulder an affectionate pat. Some things needed no words. What a heartwarming scene this is. How perfectly harmonious it is without me. I'm tired of drifting. It suddenly dawned on me, this vast world has no place I can call home. Just then, my gaze fell upon a corner of the garden. My eyes lit up as I drifted toward it. It was a little wooden house, the cozy nest I'd built for Duda with my own hands. I floated inside, lay down gently, and slowly closed my eyes. My mind wandered to thoughts of Doodle, only to realize his image had grown faint in my memory. Woof, woof, woof. The sudden barking jolted me awake. I found myself floating out uncontrollably. Lifting my head toward the sound, there he was, Doodle, Sis came over leading Dudu. Dudu, oh Dudu, it's still here. Dudu, Anna's right here. I rushed forward joyfully, only to pass right through them. I awkwardly withdrew my hand. Dodo dashed excitedly into the den, his eyes darting around as if wondering why I wasn't there. Dodo, sniff around quickly and help find Anna. My sister took out the doll I cuddled most often for Dodo to smell. Dada sniffed intently, leading my sister through twists and turns until they actually reached that basement. Dada, are you sure this is the right place? I could hear the tremor in my sister's voice. Dada immediately flopped his head onto the ground, looking utterly dejected, his usually lively eyes now dull and lifeless. It whimpered and howled mournfully, the pitiful cries echoing through the empty basement with haunting desolation. It must have caught the stench of my decaying corpse. It knew I was dead. Dada, don't be sad. I'm fine, really. Death can be a release sometimes. Anna's free now. Just then, Mother rushed over upon hearing sister's movements, her eyes flashing with momentary panic. Clearly, she'd already figured I was in the basement, and that I couldn't possibly be alive. After all these days without food or water down there, no ordinary person could survive, let alone me. In an instant, she masked her emotions perfectly, regaining her usual aloofness and detachment. Her brother's boisterous voice came from behind. Sis, what the hell are you doing in this godforsaken place? As if deaf to his words, she slowly slid open the iron door's bolt. Before her eyes lay my corpse, bloated, reeking of decay, her eyes slowly reddened with tears. So my sister would actually grieve if I died. Mother stood frozen in silence. My little brother craned his neck curiously, then recoiled violently and vomited upon seeing my corpse. After vomiting, the younger brother yelled disgustedly, "Gross, send it to the crematory." Hearing this, the sister regained her composure. She slowly turned her gaze to their mother and asked softly, "Mother, what do you think?" The mother nodded in agreement, saying, "Have it cremated." The sister nodded slowly. My body was cremated within the hour and buried in the cemetery that very night. I suppose few in this world knew Anna, knew that the second daughter of the Lawrence family had died. Mother didn't inform any relatives or friends to pay their respects. She was terrified. How could she explain herself? She, the murderer. My sister lit incense for me. My little brother kept tugging at Mom to leave. And Dad was tied up at some banquet. Had I died naturally, this would have been exactly how I'd wanted to go. I never cared for crowds. I wanted Anna to leave quietly, yet despite my suspicious death, no one questioned it. Not a soul demanded justice for me. Upon hearing news of my death, Father simply said, "Understood," and went back to his paperwork. That same day, he closed a major deal and hosted a celebration banquet that evening. My sister stayed overnight at home that night. In the dead of night, I saw her slip quietly into my room. My sister lay trembling on my bed, tears streaming down her face like a broken dam. She kept murmuring, "Anna, Anna." Witnessing this scene, I couldn't help but cry out, "Sis, sis." I reached out to touch her, but my hand passed right through her body. To my horror, I realized my body had gradually become transparent without me noticing. I suppose it's time for me to leave now. There's nothing left here worth staying for. 6. Anna, why are you so naive? Didn't I warn you not to trust what others say? Don't worry, sis will avenge you. Wait for me, I'll be quick. Through the haze of my fading consciousness, I faintly heard my sister's low but resolute voice, sounding as if it traveled across great distances to reach me. Each word struck my fragile heart like a hammer blow, relentless and heavy. Then, my body began dissolving slowly, thinning like wisps of smoke. The scene before me blurred as consciousness slipped into chaos. With my last ounce of strength, I screamed, "Sis, don't." Sensing something, my sister lifted her head and glanced in my direction. The corner of her lips curled as she murmured, "Little sister, I won't let you die without answers. My name is Elise, and I have a younger sister named Anna who's 2 years my junior. I adore sweet little Anna, but mother doesn't share my affection. She only favors my brother. As for father, his sole passion lies in his career. My sister and I were just pawns in his hands, existing solely to expand his business empire." Poor Anna fell ill. The butler took her to the hospital for another surgery. I wanted to go along, but mother wouldn't allow it. She locked me in the basement and starved me for 3 days. Whenever I showed affection toward Anna, my mother would punish me behind my back. She'd hurl the vilest curses at Anna. I could never imagine those words coming from a mother's lips. Anna is so kind-hearted. She says her illness has cost the family dearly, so her mother's scolding is justified. But Anna never knew. Her entire surgery cost less than one of her mother's jewelry pieces. The marriage between the Lawrences and the Shaws was a union of powerhouses. It should have been mine. I still don't understand how Anna ended up with it. I went to see father, who coldly remarked, "Two sickly souls make a perfect match. You'll serve your purpose." No need for further discussion. Anna seems quite fond of her fiancé. Perhaps bonding over shared frailties. They're getting along splendidly. Childhood sweethearts might not be so bad after all. Gradually, I found myself wishing them happiness in my heart. May my sister and her husband share a lifetime of marital bliss. Due to my mother's influence, I had to distance myself from Anna publicly. I could only look after Anna in secret. Julian gave Anna an adorable puppy. Anna was delighted and named it Doodle. I secretly played with Dudu before. She's such a well-behaved and obedient pup. Later, I overheard Julian's friends gathering and chatting about Dudu. The guy said enthusiastically that it was his suggestion. People with congenital heart conditions really shouldn't keep Shiba Inus. He never expected Julian to actually follow through with it. He even said he wouldn't acknowledge it if that sickly Lawrence kid kicked the bucket. So I faked allergies to make mom get rid of Dodo. Later, I secretly boarded Dodo at my friend's pet shop. Every month, I'd sneak Dodo in to visit Anna. Mother took perverse pleasure in it. The more I bullied Anna, the happier she became. Mother saw Anna's existence as a stain on her reputation, a living disgrace. The butler once mentioned mother nearly died giving birth to Anna. It was a difficult delivery that almost claimed her life. Mother directed all her pent-up hatred toward Anna. Yet I've also heard that when mother was pregnant, she showed no restraint, drinking out every single day. How could she not have harmed Anna? What fault did Anna have? Anna's only mistake was being born to that woman. That day, I caught our newly hired maid secretly sending voice messages to Julian. The maid wore a smug expression, boasting about how she'd already gotten close to Anna. She laughed, saying Anna was gullible, easy to manipulate since she'd do anything asked. She claimed she could end Anna's life effortlessly, just waiting for Julian's signal to strike. I made up some excuse to dismiss the maid and ordered all household staff to stay away from Anna, warning they'd be fired on the spot if caught disobeying. I couldn't risk giving Julian any chance to bribe the other servants. Later, I noticed there were barely any dishes on our dining table that Anna could actually eat. My younger brother has quite the sweet tooth, not to mention his love for spicy foods. Every meal at home was prepared according to my younger brother's preferences. Knowing Anna couldn't stomach that food, I pretended to lose my appetite and sent her to eat in her room. I knew the butler would instruct the chef to prepare meals suitable for Anna. During my freshman year, I started dating a guy. His father passed away early, leaving him to rely solely on his mother. He's driven and filial to a fault. We've been in a loving relationship for 4 years. Mom flew into a rage, saying Julian told her I was hanging out with shady characters. My mother said I'd brought shame upon her, that I had no sense of decency. But what she didn't know was that my boyfriend and I hadn't even held hands. He said he wanted to respect me, that he'd work hard to become worthy of me. When the time comes, he'll formally propose marriage to my family with honor. Later, my mother drove my boyfriend to his death. His mother cried herself blind, sank into depression, and passed away not long after. 7. He was supposed to have a bright future ahead of him. I'm the one who destroyed him, and his mother too. My heart died that day. From then on, my only wish was for my sister Anna. Anna's happiness is my happiness. That scumbag Julian was the one who snitched to my mother. His voice miraculously recovered, and he even started scheming to change the marriage arrangement. I bribed a servant in Julian's household. The servant overheard him saying the Lawrence girl was destined to be his. Worst case, he'd marry my sister first, dispose of her, and then take me as his bride. I couldn't let Anna take that risk, so I casually mentioned it to mother, and true enough, she called off my sister's engagement and arranged my marriage to Julian instead. Soon after, Julian and I held our wedding ceremony. My right eyelid kept twitching that day, and after the ceremony, Anna was nowhere to be seen. My heart sank with a terrible premonition. Just as I feared, Anna's gone missing. Anna had nowhere else to go. She should have been home. The butler was the only one who treated Anna kindly. but even he couldn't find her after searching everywhere. As a last resort, I took Dudu along to give it a shot. To my surprise, Dudu led me straight to the basement. In my memory, that basement was pitch black and utterly terrifying. I dare not dwell on it, my mind has blocked it out. This was where I always got punished as a child. Mother herself would lock me in here. Once when Anna came looking for me, the door was left ajar and she just walked right in. Anna said sweetly that she wanted to keep me company. That's when I realized Anna had claustrophobia. Doodle brought me here, and I knew my Anna might already be gone. The murderer was none other than my own mother. How could she be so cruel? She didn't show a shred of remorse, from our wedding day onward. I secretly prepared slow-acting poison. 2 weeks later, my husband dropped dead on the dance floor at a nightclub, right in front of everyone. The Shao family was so ashamed they rushed his burial. The Zios never suspected me as their daughter-in-law. They even gave me my rightful inheritance. I became a billionaire widow. My mother came crying to my door and took me back home. Father said I'd suffered enough and told me to rest at home. Little did I know he was secretly arranging my next marriage, to a man in his 50s, playing obedient. I gave the servants the day off and cooked them dinner myself. Laughter and cheerful conversation filled the dining table. My drunken brother slurred, "That wild child Anna left too soon, missed her chance at happiness, everything will be mine soon, no more wasting money on that bastard girl's treatments, perfect." I stared at his face, a carbon copy of our father's, and those eyes identical to our aunt's, father's adopted sister. My smile deepened with bitter amusement. "So this is the bastard child you've schemed half your life for, dearest mother. What a wonderful mother you've been to Anna and me." This is something I recently uncovered. It began when I spotted a young man bearing uncanny resemblance to Anna days ago. He sat begging at the subway entrance with a broken leg. I emptied my wallet and gave him all the cash I had. He locked eyes with me, smiled slowly, and called out softly, "Sis." Shaking my head, I hurried away in a fluster. My sister is gone forever. 8. No one will ever call me big sister again. I tossed and turned all night. The next day, I sneaked off to that place. He's still begging there. I took a frontal photo of him and sent it to the detective agency. Additionally, I submitted 2 hair samples to the hospital for DNA testing against mine. The hairs got on my clothes yesterday when I handed him money. The dry, yellowish hair clearly shows signs of malnutrition. For some inexplicable reason, I found myself putting on airs. I paid extra for expedited service and received both the detective agency's findings and the hospital's DNA test results that same afternoon. This person is my brother, my biological brother. The truth is, my father had an affair with his adopted sister, who got pregnant at the same time as my mother. After my brother was born, they maliciously swapped the babies. That woman would never treat my brother well, of course. His situation is even worse than Anna's. Ridiculous. This whole thing is absolutely ridiculous. I let out a bitter laugh as I looked at the 3 unconscious figures slumped across the table. The doorbell rang insistently outside. I tried ignoring it, but the relentless chiming was splitting my head. I got up and answered the door. "Sis." The wheelchair-bound boy greeted me with sunshine in his smile. After learning his identity, I wired money to his bank account and transferred all my assets under his name. With just his signature, everything would be his. I never expected him to show up at my doorstep. I asked calmly, "How did you know I'm your sister?" The boy said meekly, "I overheard their phone call by chance and learned about the Lawrence family. Then I came here secretly and saw your whole family." The moment I saw sisters Elise and Anna, I felt an instant connection. "You must be my sisters," I sighed. "You should leave this place quickly and live a good life from now on." The boy blinked his eyes. "Sis, I'd love some candied hawthorns. Could you treat me to one first? I'll leave right after." My mind wandered back to when Anna had asked me to buy her candied hawthorns. I didn't get them for her. With mother watching nearby, I couldn't be too affectionate with Anna. The vendor's cry for candied hawthorns echoed nearby, and I found myself drawn toward it. When I returned with a skewer of the sweet treats, the villa was already engulfed in flames. The next day, news reports announced our family's tragic demise. I stood frozen on the street, staring blankly at the subway entrance. I'm the eldest sister, yet I failed to protect my little sister and brother. I'm not much of a sister. Story 2. The high temperature is about to arrive. My parents, along with my elder brother's family, directly went to my new house. The next day, the high temperature arrived as scheduled. At night, my elder brother and sister-in-law, claiming that it was too hot at home, moved into my master bedroom. My cynical nephew occupied my second bedroom. My parents lived in the living room, hogging all my electric fans and pushing me directly onto the balcony where there was not a bit of cool air. Now outside, more and more people are dying due to the high temperature, and everyone is afraid to go out. However, my sister-in-law said that there was not enough food and forced me to go out to buy groceries. My parents, elder brother, and sister-in-law jointly drove me out, and I was left to die of heat outside. When I opened my eyes again, facing my mother's request that I give the new house to my elder brother and sister-in-law, I agreed, but this time, I'm going to enjoy life to the fullest, staying in the cool air and watching them court death. 1. The sun was shining brightly, as if releasing all its heat. The highest temperature today is 42 degrees Celsius. High temperature weather will occur frequently in the coming week. Please pay attention to heat prevention and reduce the number of outings. Watching this news on TV, I couldn't help but shiver. That deep-rooted feeling of thirst rushed into my heart, making me gulp down cup after cup of cold water, until I couldn't drink anymore. Only then did the feeling of thirst that caused heart palpitations slowly subside. Ding-ling-ling dash. The phone beside me suddenly rang. I answered it. My mother's wailing came from the other end. Margot, your elder brother was cheated in business. Now he owes a large sum of money, and many people have come to our house to ask for the debt. Those people are so fierce. They said that if we don't pay back the money, they will cut off your elder brother's legs. Mom is so scared. Your father and I are so old. We can't bear to lose our son. Margot, is your newly bought house renovated? Can you give us the address so that your elder brother can come and hide for a few days? My mother's words made me feel dazed. It was the same in my previous life. She called and cried, saying that my elder brother George was being chased by debt collectors and wanted to come to my new house to hide for a few days. In fact, I hadn't contacted them for a long time before that. I didn't even tell them about buying a house, because my parents were extremely biased. From childhood to adulthood, everything in the family, except for housework, belonged to my elder brother. After graduation, I finally found a job in a large company. My parents were afraid that I would go too far away and not be able to take care of my elder brother in the future. They specifically went to my workplace and made a scene, ruining my job. It was not until I found a job in a city not far from home that they stopped making trouble. Later, every time I got paid, something would suddenly happen at home. Then my mother would borrow my money, not even leaving me any money for meals. Once, I had appendicitis and was hospitalized, lacking 2,000 yuan for the surgery. I endured the severe pain and called my mother to ask for money, but she cried and said there was no money at home. She also cursed me for being unfilial, saying that as a woman, I shouldn't covet their coffin money. My elder brother snatched the phone and asked me contemptuously, Margot, you've worked for so many years. How come you don't even have 2,000 yuan? Now you're still coveting our parents' pension money. I was so angry that I almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Didn't he know why I had no money? I paid the 100,000 yuan betrothal gift for his marriage, and I also lent him the down payment for his new house, the 30,000 yuan for renovating my parents' old-fashioned house was also borrowed from me. They said it was a loan, but when did they ever pay me back? I hung up the phone with tears in my eyes. Then I borrowed money from my colleagues to pay the hospitalization fee. This incident made me understand. In this family, no matter how well I, the daughter, did, they only had George, the son, in their hearts. After that, when they asked me for money when I got paid again, I made excuses and didn't give them any more money. After failing to get money several times, they came to my company and scolded me severely. My job was ruined by them again, and I was completely disheartened. I took out 50,000 yuan to cut off relations with them. After that, we never contacted each other again, until this time, I bought a house. I don't know where they got the news. My mother cried to me that George had caused trouble and wanted to come to my place to stay for a few days to avoid debt. At first, I was not willing, until they sent a photo of George with his leg broken by debt collectors. George is my elder brother. If something really happened to him, I couldn't just ignore it. I gave them the address and let George hide here for a few days. Unexpectedly, this was another lie against me. The next day, not only George came, but also my parents, sister-in-law, and little nephew. George's leg wasn't broken at all. They came here just to take over my house. Later, they lived in my house, ate up all the food I had stocked up, and they drove me out of the house, leaving me to be burned to death by the heat. I still remember that I was extremely thirsty and hot at that time. I knelt at the door of my house and begged them to let me in for the sake of my past kindness to them. What greeted me was the cold laughter of their whole family. My elder brother sneered. "What kindness to me? These are things you, the loser, should do." Mom and Dad said that what's yours is mine. My father snorted. "I really regret not marrying you off earlier to get the betrothal gift. Now I really feel like I've lost a lot." My sister-in-law laughed. "It's not a loss. After she dies, this house will be ours, Margot. Just go and die quickly." In their mocking laughter, I closed my eyes unwillingly, recalling this. That feeling of being extremely thirsty welled up in my throat again. I quickly drank another glass of water before I could calm down. My mother didn't hear my response for a long time and tentatively asked in a low voice, "Margot, are you listening, too?" I sneered and said, "I'm listening." "Then can you let George come and stay in your new house for a few days to lie low?" The arc of the cold smile on my lips grew larger and larger. "Mom, is elder brother really in debt?" My mother's voice paused. And then she said, "He really is in debt, Margot. You know your elder brother's simple-minded nature. He's especially easy to trust others. That's why he was cheated by his business partner. Margot, you're his younger sister. You can't just ignore your elder brother." I opened my mouth, but before I could reply, my father's angry curses came from the other end of the phone. "Margot, if you dare to be heartless and ignore your elder brother, be careful that we come to your company to make trouble again. Let everyone see how you are as a younger sister, not caring about your own elder brother's life or death. I really should have drowned you in the urine bucket back then." My father's words made the last bit of my affection for them dissipate. At this moment, the Eliza who longed for family and their love completely died. I heard myself say, "Mom and Dad, George is my own elder brother. How could I ignore him? I'll send you the address later. Why don't you, Mom and Dad, and sister-in-law, and Isaac all come together? I haven't seen you for so many years. I really miss you." My mother didn't expect me to be so cooperative and said in surprise, "I knew Margot still has us in her heart." "Okay, then our whole family will come tomorrow. Don't dislike us then." I suppressed the bone-deep hatred in my eyes. "I won't dislike you. My dear mother, how could I dislike you? I can't wait for you all to come and court death." 3. I told my mother that the new house hadn't been tidied up yet. I asked them to come 3 days later. Then, using this time, I rented a large villa with a basement in the adjacent villa area. Under extreme high-temperature weather, the lack of food is not the most terrifying thing. The most terrifying thing is a power outage. In my previous life, many people living on high floors died at home from heatstroke because there was no electricity for air conditioning, cooling. So since God has mercy on me and let me be reborn, this time, I'm going to make sufficient preparations. The houses in this villa area all have basements. I visited here when I was looking at houses. When I entered the basement here in midsummer, I even felt so cold that I wanted to put on a coat. So if you want to escape the heat, there's no more suitable house than this one. Then I went to the market and bought dozens of boxes of instant noodles, river snail rice noodles, self-heating rice, self-heating hot pots, and other instant foods. Considering that it's not easy to store fruits and vegetables in high-temperature weather, I also bought a lot of vacuum-packed vegetables and snacks like dried fruits. The basement has a large space. I bought 3 large refrigerators. They were filled with my favorite steaks, fish and shrimp, pork ribs, mutton, dumplings, and various frozen pastries. To relieve the heat, I also specially bought a refrigerator to store ice cream. In addition to the above, I also bought a lot of melon seeds, marinated food, potato chips, and other snacks. I also stocked up on a lot of common medicines like Huxiangzhengqi liquid. Passing by a knife shop, I went in and casually bought several good weapons for self-defense, fearing that there would be a water and power outage. I bought several large water storage barrels equipped with water purifiers. I also taught myself online and specially set up a solar power supply panel in the yard, fearing being noticed, whether it was buying supplies or the materials for assembling the solar power supply panel. I pretended to be a decoration company and mixed these things among a bunch of messy decoration materials and brought them in myself. Fortunately, the walls of the villa are very high, and the distance between the houses is also large. I used a cargo hauling service to transport things for 2 days, and no one noticed anything wrong. In my previous life, experts said that the extremely hot weather would end after a month. I died on the 7th day after the extreme heat began. After stocking up, I looked at the supplies all over the house. I felt that I would be fine for not just 1 month, but even 1 year. While I was busy buying supplies, my elder brother and the others were not idle either. As soon as the day I mentioned arrived, they couldn't wait to call. "Margot, we've already arrived at your community. It's so hot outside, but the doorman here is stopping us from entering. You should quickly tell them to let them know who the real master is." I installed the last camera and clapped my hands in disgust. My parents, and they are always like this, obviously. They have no achievements in their lives and are at the bottom of society, yet they look down on people who earn money with their own hands. I think the doorman uncle is much better than them. I called the doorman's room, explained the situation, and apologized to them, my parents, and they were let in. When the door was knocked open, the 5-member family swaggered in. My little tyrant nephew bumped into me who opened the door, hitting my stomach so hard that it hurt. My sister-in-law saw this scene but ignored me, whose face had turned pale with pain, and happily clapped her hands beside me. "Haha, my good Isaac has so much strength. Now you can even deal with your aunt. You really are the big treasure of our family." My elder brother and the others also didn't care about my discomfort. They directly walked past me and started visiting the house. My elder brother said in disgust, "Why is the curtain this color? I don't like it, Margot. You go and change it for me another day. Why isn't there even a computer at home? How am I supposed to play games, despite what they say about you being a senior executive in a big city? I think it's nothing." My father spat on my newly bought carpet. "Why is this house so small? Only 2 bedrooms and 1 living room. How can it be enough for the 5 of us to live in? They said you've made it big now, but I think you'll never be as good as your elder brother." The whole family was extremely critical of my house. My sister-in-law, being sly, ran to my bedroom. She fiddled with the skin care products on my dressing table. "Margot, what brand is this? Ocean Mystery? I've never heard of it. Is it the same as La Mer? It looks good. Give them all to me." Although she seemed to be asking me, what she said was a statement. She wasn't asking for my opinion at all. But I don't care. These things were originally prepared for her, in my previous life. As soon as she came, regardless of whether I was willing or not, she took all my skin care products. This time, I specially prepared this fake, unbranded micro-business product for her. "My dear sister-in-law, take it and use it well. The face ruining set is waiting for you." My little nephew ran to my second bedroom, took a look, and then ran to the living room disappointed and roared, "Stinky aunt, why don't you have any toys at home? Go and buy some for me. I want the action figures that city kids play with, so that all the kids will envy me." Looking at my nephew, who was as fat as a little pig and throwing a tantrum in the living room, I felt like laughing. It's not that there are no toys at all. In my previous life, the action figures I carefully collected were all torn apart by him as soon as he came. When I said a few words to him, I was slapped twice by my father. This time, I had already put away these things in advance. In this life, they won't even think about getting their hands on what belongs to me. 5. Finally, after they finished criticizing my house, my mother finally remembered my existence. She took my hand and said pitifully, "Margot, we've been on the road all night and haven't eaten anything. Can you take us to eat?" I frowned and said, "Go out to eat." My mother quickly nodded. "Yes, go out to eat. Your nephew wants to eat big lobsters. Can you take us to eat?" When my nephew heard about the big lobsters, he stopped throwing a tantrum and jumped up from the ground and said, "I want to eat big lobsters, and abalones, and hairy crabs." My sister-in-law smiled and said, "Yes, there are. Let your aunt treat you." I looked at my sister-in-law and shook my head. "Sister-in-law, don't say that. I can't afford it." My sister sister-in-law frowned. You can't afford it. Margot, what do you mean? Have you become a city person for a few days and are now reluctant to spend money on us? You little brat, do you want to rebel? You're not even willing to spend money on your nephew. I'll beat you to death. My father rushed over and wanted to slap me in the face as he did in my previous life. But this time, I'm no longer the foolishly filial Margot. I grabbed his hand and said, Dad, sister-in-law, do you think my new house was bought out of thin air? This two-bedroom, one living room house cost nearly 2 million. I paid a down payment of 600,000 yuan and took out a loan of over 1 million. I have to pay back more than 10,000 yuan in loans every month. To pay off the loans, I've been eating plain boiled noodles for over a year, since Isaac wants to eat lobsters and abalones. Then Dad, you treat us to a meal. Let me also have a taste of something good for a change. As soon as he heard that he had to pay, my dad immediately stopped making a fuss. He just pouted and complained, you have to pay back so much money every month, you stupid girl. If you don't have the ability, don't buy such an expensive house. You've made it so that we can't even eat seafood. When my little nephew heard that there was no hope for lobsters and abalones, he cried and made a ruckus in the living room. My mother, who felt sorry for him, kept scolding me. It's all your aunt's fault, Isaac, don't cry. Grandma will buy you meat buns tomorrow. But my little nephew didn't care about meat buns at all. He was so angry that he punched and kicked the soft flesh on my mother's stomach. The house was in chaos. Finally, seeing that they couldn't get any money out of me, my mother reluctantly went to the kitchen, found a bag of my noodles, and cooked a bowl of plain noodles for the family. After the noodles were cooked, my father looked at me and snorted, "You're such a useless girl. You can't even afford to treat Isaac to lobsters. You're punished and not allowed to have dinner." With that arrogant tone, he completely forgot that the noodles they were eating were mine, and the pot used to cook the noodles was also mine. 6. After dinner, it gradually got dark, but the temperature didn't decrease. Instead, it increased. My elder brother, with all his fat, even when staying under the air conditioner, still shouted that he was dying of heat. Finally, he couldn't stand it anymore and went to the bathroom to take a shower. Then it was my sister-in-law, my little nephew, and my parents. After they took their showers, my sister-in-law pulled my elder brother into my master bedroom. "Your brother and I are not used to living in the small bedroom. Let us live in this master bedroom." Without waiting for my reply, she pushed me out of the door. As soon as my eyes turned to the second bedroom, my little nephew sprayed water all over me with a water gun. "Stinky ant, my mom said this house is mine. You're not allowed to come in." I didn't want to pay attention to this brat, so I walked to the living room, but I saw my father lying on the sofa in big shorts, sprawled out. Seeing me coming, he said, "You stupid girl, your dad doesn't like to wear clothes when sleeping at night. You'd better not stay in the living room." I stared at him and asked, "Then where should I sleep?" My mother came over and said with a look, "Margot, the house is too small. There really isn't any extra space for you to sleep. Why don't you sleep on the balcony? There are no windows there, and it's more comfortable." They wanted to drive me to the balcony again. In my previous life, I was driven there by them. They were afraid that I would go in at night to use the air conditioner, so they even locked the balcony door from the outside. I stayed on the balcony with no wind at all for a whole day and night and almost died of heat. That feeling of extreme thirst welled up in my throat again. I looked at my parents, who gave birth to me but had never been kind to me, and said, "Sleep on the balcony, it's so hot outside. Aren't you afraid of overheating me?" My mother rubbed her hands and said, "The balcony is just a bit hotter. How could it kill someone?" "Margot, it's all Mom's fault for not being able to control your elder brother and sister-in-law, making them take over your master bedroom. If you feel inconvenient, why don't you go to a hotel to stay?" As she said this, she transferred 50 yuan to me. My mother was the only one in this family who would be kind to me occasionally, but even such a person, in my previous life, when everyone forced me to go out to buy groceries, handed a knife to my elder brother. She was afraid that if I didn't go out to buy groceries, her precious grandson would go hungry. But 50 yuan was not enough to stay in a hotel at all. In my previous life, I held my anger and didn't leave, thinking that it was my own house and why I couldn't stay, but in the end, I was forced out of the door and was burned to death outside. This time, since they asked me to leave, then I'll leave. I looked at this cold-hearted and shameless family and said, fine, I'll leave. I took out my suitcase and packed my things. Then, I put all the food and drinks I had stocked up at home into my suitcase. My sister-in-law, who was watching me pack the whole time, saw that I was taking only worthless food and didn't stop me. She just sneered at me, calling me a poor wretch who even cared about a few packs of noodles. I ignored her barking and left without looking back after packing my things. 7. I dragged my suitcase, got into the cargo hauling van I rented, and drove directly to the villa I rented. The outdoor temperature was already very high. When I arrived at the villa, I quickly turned on the air conditioner. Only when the temperature dropped did I feel alive again. Looking at the rising temperature indoors, I knew this was just the beginning. Tomorrow, the temperature would climb to a terrifying 50 degrees Celsius. The terrifying high temperature weather was coming. There was a lot of delicious food in the villa. I heated a steak for myself and paired it with a glass of red wine. I celebrated that in this life. I finally got away from that greedy family. After dinner, I lay on the big bed in the villa and had a comfortable sleep. The next day when I woke up, the sun was already hanging in the middle of the sky. I looked at the thermometer I installed outdoors. Goodness, it had actually soared to 52 degrees Celsius. At this temperature, it was no longer suitable to go out, just like in my previous life. Many work units gave high-temperature holidays, and schools also started to suspend classes. The outdoor temperature was too high, and the central air conditioning was no longer effective. I took all my things and moved to the cool basement. At noon, while eating ice cream with river snail rice noodles, I watched the surveillance video on my phone to go with my meal. My mother and my elder brother and the others slept until after 10 o'clock before getting up. After getting up, my chubby nephew was so hungry that he was making a fuss and asking for food. My mother quickly rushed into the kitchen to cook for him, but I had taken all the edible things at home. How could my mother cook a meal? When my nephew saw that my mother hadn't cooked a meal for a long time, he rushed into the kitchen and punched and kicked her. The whole house was filled with my mother's wailing, but no one in the family spoke up for her, and I, the only one who would feel sorry for her, had been driven away by her yesterday. The family was so hungry that they were panicking, and I couldn't help but laugh while watching this. After the meal, the temperature seemed to rise a little more. I turned down the air conditioning in the basement and took out another box of ice cream to relieve the heat. Just as I opened the box of ice cream, my phone beside me rang. I clicked to answer, and my mother's anxious voice came from the other end. Margot, there's no food at home. Isaac is crying because he's so hungry. Can you come back and bring us some food? I scooped a mouthful of ice cream and said slowly, but Mom, the hotel where I'm staying is a bit far away, and I have a lot of work in the company. I can't come back. My mother was like this. She never remembered me when there was something good, but once she encountered trouble, the first person she thought of was me. I looked at the surveillance on my phone and said, Mom, your son and daughter-in-law are all at home. Ask them to go out and buy some. My elder brother said angrily on the side. Margot, it's so hot outside. How can you expect us to go out? Quickly find a way to bring us some food. Aren't you worried about starving Isaac? I smiled coldly and said, Brother, instead of blaming me, it would be faster if you go downstairs right now and take Isaac to eat. I'm still busy here, so I won't talk to you anymore. After that, I hung up the phone. Seeing that they couldn't count on me, my elder brother pointed at Isaac, who was crying non-stop, and started scolding. Cry, cry, cry. Will you die if you don't eat for one meal? You're all fat. Losing some weight by starving is just what you need. My sister-in-law hugged Isaac with a look and said to my mother, Mom, why don't you go out and buy some groceries? Isaac can't be hungry all the time. My mother looked at the hot sun outside pitifully, but now that I wasn't there, the whole family was relying on her. She could only grit her teeth and go out pitifully. My mother came back in the afternoon. She was all red and swollen from the sun, and in some places, her skin was peeling, just like me in my previous life. She got sunburned, but when she came back with a whole body of sunburns, she only managed to buy most of a box of instant noodles at a high price. It was too hot outside. There were hardly any shops open. Seeing that she had only bought such a small amount of things, my father not only didn't show her any sympathy for her injuries, he scolded her again. 8. The things my mother brought back were not many, but my elder brother and the others didn't think about going out to buy more either. I looked at the lazybones lying motionless on the sofa in the surveillance and laughed. So good, if you don't go out now, you won't have any chance to go out in the future. Everyone will soon find out that starting from tonight, the sun will not set. Experts say this is an abnormal polar day phenomenon caused by the change in the Earth's magnetic field. There were more than a dozen packs of instant noodles that my mother brought back. Actually, if they saved them, they could still last for a few days, but looking at the way my elder brother and nephew were eating in the surveillance, as if they were reincarnated from starving ghosts, with such little food, they probably wouldn't last more than 2 days. 8. Just like in my previous life, at night, everyone finally noticed something was wrong. The sun, which usually set at around 6 or 7 o'clock, was still shining brightly in the sky at 10 o'clock at night today. The ground was extremely hot, the temperature was several degrees higher than during the day. It was completely impossible to go out the door. News of people dying from the heat kept breaking out in the news. The relevant departments realized the seriousness of the situation and kept appealing to everyone to take good heat prevention measures and never go out. 3 days passed, and the situation still hadn't improved. My elder brother and the others finally panicked. Their little bit of instant noodles had long been eaten up by their unrestrained way of eating. My nephew didn't even play with his phone anymore and was crying loudly at home because he was so hungry. When my elder brother's video call came in, I was having hot pot. When I saw my elder brother's video, I changed the background. As soon as I answered, my elder brother hurriedly asked, "Margot, where are you?" I sneered and said, "Where else could I be? Of course, I'm at the hotel." My elder brother forced a smile and said, "Margot, a hotel is not as comfortable as home. Come back quickly. I miss you. By the way, when you come back, bring us some food. By the way, we haven't eaten for a day." Humph. Asking me to come back was just an excuse. The real reason was to ask me to bring them food. Actually, I usually have the habit of stocking up on things. In my previous life, I stocked up a lot of food at home. If we saved it, the 6 of us could last for a month without a problem. But my elder brother's family was spoiled by my parents. They were used to overeating and drinking. Even when the terrifying high temperature weather broke out, they couldn't change. So in just a few days, the food at home was almost gone. After there was no food at home, they morally blackmailed me and asked me to go out to buy groceries. I didn't want to, and my elder brother forced me to go out with a dagger. He said that if I couldn't buy groceries and come back, I wouldn't be allowed to go home. I was forced to have no choice but to go downstairs. But as soon as I walked a few steps, the soles of my shoes melted. There was no one on the street. And there were the corpses of dried up small animals everywhere. I was extremely scared. I tried my best to walk back. When I finally got back to the door of my house, thirsty and hot, begging them to let me in, but no one opened the door for me. Finally, I was burned to death at the door of my house. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but pick up the iced Coke on the table and take a big gulp. "Margot, you're actually drinking Coke," I laughed and told the truth. "Yes, and it's ice cold." My elder brother licked his lips and said, "Iced Coke? Margot, you actually still have iced Coke to drink. Can you bring us some when you come back later? I haven't seen anything cold for days. This damn weather is so hot. Now the wind from the air conditioner at home is hot, and the refrigerator is also hot. I can't stand it anymore." I looked at the high temperature warning on my phone. I sighed and said, "Alas, I also want to come back. I miss Isaac after not seeing him for a few days, but after I talked to you on the phone that day, I went on a business trip. Now I'm in a foreign place, hundreds of kilometers away from you. Now all transportation has stopped. I really can't come back. Brother, you guys hold on a little longer. Maybe it will be cooler tomorrow." They were dreaming if they thought I would go back. There were several adults in the family, and none of their hands or feet were broken. They didn't know how to go out and find a way for themselves. They were always thinking about how to take advantage of me. Then this time, let them think about it. On the surveillance side, when my father heard that I couldn't come back, he pointed at my mother and scolded, "Look at the loser you gave birth to. She can't even help a little bit at a critical moment, since she won't come back." You go out and buy groceries for us. My elder brother quickly echoed, Yeah, Mom, you don't have the heart to let me and your precious grandson starve to death, do you? My sister-in-law knew how to be filial at this moment. She took out an umbrella from her bag and handed it to my mother. Mom, if you use this umbrella, you won't get sunburned. Also, buy me some marinated food by the way. I've been eating noodles for a few days, and my mouth feels so tasteless. Seeing that the whole family was forcing her to go out, my mother broke down and cried, It's over 60 degrees outside, you're forcing me to go out and die. Listening to my mother's words, my heart felt as if it had been soaked in water. It was sour and swollen, so she knew that going out at this time would get her killed. But in my previous life, she personally forced me to go out. All her kindness to me, all her shows of weakness were just for her good son, and her precious grandson. My mother snatched my elder brother's phone and cried to me. She begged me to think of a way, or find a friend to bring them some food, but I just shook my head and refused, just like she refused to open the door for me in my previous life. Seeing that she really couldn't count on me, my mother finally still felt sorry for her precious grandson and good son. She picked up my sister-in-law's umbrella and was about to go out. Before she left, she said to me coldly, Useless girl, I really gave birth to you in vain. If it weren't for you, would I have to go out in such a big sun? I should have drowned you in the urine basin back then. I looked at my mother's face, which was distorted with anger, and hung up the video. My dear mother, actually, you've already killed me once. You handed the knife with your own hands. 9. My mother didn't return home even until nightfall. This time she went out. My father was so anxious that he paced around the house. However, he didn't say that he would go out to look for her himself. Nor did he ask my elder brother to do so. By the next day, my mother still hadn't come back. I knew that she couldn't come back anymore. Just like me, she died outside. 3 days after my mother went missing, my father finally realized that the woman who had accompanied him for a lifetime and had been bullied by him for a lifetime was dead. He lay on the bed feebly and started wailing. But in this family, the only woman who would listen to him was already dead, his son, daughter-in-law, and eldest grandson. None of them wanted to listen to his crying. They left him in the living room and all hid in the master bedroom together. On the 7th day of the terrifying high temperature, my father hadn't eaten for 5 days. When he got up that morning, he was so hungry that he couldn't bear it anymore. He stood up from the sofa, and went to the master bedroom to find my elder brother and the others. When he pushed open the bedroom door, he found that my elder brother, sister-in-law, and nephew were huddled together, secretly eating instant noodles. At this moment, everything became clear. It turned out that there wasn't really no food at home. My elder brother and the others had secretly hidden the food. My father angrily pointed at my elder brother and shouted, There is clearly still food at home. Why did you lie to your mother and ask her to go out and buy groceries? Not only did you kill your mother, but you unfilial brats even want to eat alone and starve me to death. Don't you, you heartless things. I'll beat you to death and avenge your mother. My father picked up the fruit knife on the table and was about to stab my elder brother. During the scuffle, somehow the knife ended up in my elder brother's hand, and then the one who fell to the ground was my father. 10. When I turned on the surveillance again, I saw my father lying on the ground with a fruit knife stuck in him, taking his last breath. My elder brother was shaking all over with fear. What should we do? I didn't do it on purpose. He made the first move. I was just defending myself. There was a strange glint in my sister-in-law's eyes. Yes, it's not your fault, my elder brother said in a panic. Let's throw him out. There's no one outside anyway. No one will find out if we throw him out now. My sister-in-law took my elder brother's hand. No, we can't throw him out. My elder brother asked blankly. If we don't throw him out, what should we do? My sister-in-law licked her lips. Freeze him in the refrigerator. Freeze him, in the refrigerator. My sister-in-law nodded and said, Yes, look, we don't know when this high temperature will end, and that was the last pack of instant noodles we hid. If we don't come up with other ways, are we just going to wait to starve to death? All this meat on Dad can keep us going for a long time. My elder brother stared at my father's body for a long time, and then he nodded. Then, with my sister-in-law's help, they slowly froze my father in the refrigerator bit by bit. I downloaded these videos and anonymously sent them to the police station's reporting email, and then I never turned on the surveillance again. I didn't want to know anything more about them. 11. After I spent a month leisurely in the villa, the terrifying high temperature finally ended. It was the same as in my previous life. The polar day phenomenon also disappeared. I received a call the day after the high temperature ended. The police told me that they had found my mother's body on the street. According to the location they mentioned, I found that it was only 100 meters away from our apartment building, so if my father and the others had been willing to go out and look for her, maybe she wouldn't have died. They also informed me to go to the police station. My elder brother and the others had been arrested. They received the reported video and found part of my father's body in the refrigerator. 12. As my father's daughter, I refused to issue a letter of understanding for my elder brother and sister-in-law, and I asked the judge to sentence them severely. In the end, my elder brother was sentenced to life imprisonment, and my sister-in-law was sentenced to 15 years in prison. My nephew Isaac, because he was too young, didn't go to prison. However, I refused to adopt him. He was a precious one, but not to me. Finally, he was sent to an orphanage. I think without the excessive love and indulgence from my parents and the others, maybe one day he could become a good person. I sold my house at a low price and then moved to a different city to live. I got rid of that vampire-like family. From then on, every day of my life will be extremely pleasant. Story 2. When the end of the world was approaching, my husband didn't think about how to survive but wanted to hold a wedding with his white moonlight, to make up for the regrets of his youth. I proposed divorce in public. With a faint anger on his face, he said, "I just want to give Tessa a wedding before I die. If it weren't for you, Tessa would be my wife." His friends said, "Anyway, we're all going to die. Isn't it right to let two people who truly love each other be together? Why would Phoenix marry a woman like you? You're so cruel-hearted." I didn't die in the apocalypse but was pushed off the 18th floor by Phoenix himself. I died on the spot, losing both my life and that of my unborn child. When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn before I married Phoenix. 1. The end of the world came. My husband proposed divorce. He wanted to register for marriage with his white moonlight and hold a grand wedding. To make up for the regrets of his youth, Phoenix set the wedding venue on the rooftop of the 18-story building where they had fallen in love. At the wedding, Phoenix mentioned in public, "The biggest regret of my life is that I couldn't marry Tessa. Now this wish can finally come true," completely ignoring my wishes. He used all the supplies I had stockpiled for the wedding. Looking at me viciously, he said, "We're all going to die. If we don't use them now, are we going to use them after we're dead?" Later, after I learned the news and rushed to the wedding scene, the moment he saw me, his face instantly clouded over, and he said angrily, "I just want to give Tessa a wedding before I die. Can you stop making a scene? If it weren't for you, Tessa would be my wife." His voice was loud enough for everyone present to hear. His friends also said, "Anyway, we're all going to die. Isn't it right to let two people who truly love each other be together? Why would Phoenix marry a woman like you? You're so cruel-hearted." Fortunately, Phoenix is going to divorce her. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to rest in peace even after death, facing all kinds of accusations and insults. My heart was as cold as death. "Phoenix, if you want to marry her, it's only possible if my child and I die. Are you trying to trick me into getting pregnant again? Using the child to threaten me?" Phoenix was indifferent, "But I only want Tessa's child," and Tessa nestled in Phoenix's arms, stroking her bulging belly, looking at my embarrassed appearance with a victorious look. I swayed, almost spitting blood in anger. In a fit of anger, I walked over and slapped Phoenix in the face, but he was prepared, and my hand was stopped in mid-air. Phoenix grabbed my hand and roughly dragged me to the edge of the rooftop. "Who do you think you are to dare to hit me?" Saying the most vicious words in a gentle tone. "Didn't you want to die? I'll grant you your wish today, along with your bastard child." Ignoring my pleas and struggles, he gave a hard push. "You owe all this to Tessa, Emilia. Go to hell." Until today, I finally realized how much Phoenix hated me. I didn't die being torn apart by zombies but was pushed off the 18th floor by Phoenix himself. I died on the spot, losing both my life and that of my unborn child. 2. When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn before I married Phoenix. There were still 3 months until the zombie outbreak, and everything was still in time. I had been with Phoenix for 7 years. This was also the 7th time I proposed to him, and this time he finally agreed to my proposal. At that time, I was so excited that I couldn't sleep for 3 whole days, as if in a dream, but coming back again, I realized that I was the only one who was happy. At this moment, Phoenix had a cold face. Looking at his phone absent-mindedly, as if waiting for a message from someone. I was used to his cold and indifferent look before, so I didn't notice anything at that time. Now it seems that he looks completely downcast and extremely reluctant. I immediately secretly investigated and found that in these 7 years, he had been in close contact with Tessa, even more intimate than with me, his legitimate girlfriend. I bided my time and decided to give them a big gift at the wedding. The night before our wedding, I called Phoenix. In the high-definition video, on my new wedding bed, Tessa and Phoenix were entangled passionately. After they calmed down a bit, Phoenix answered the phone. A deep and hoarse voice came. "What's wrong?" There was also a faint female panting sound in my ear. "Phoenix, are you really marrying me because you like me?" When Tessa knew it was me on the phone, she mischievously wriggled in his arms. Phoenix didn't remember at all what I had just asked. "What did you just say? I didn't hear you clearly." I clearly knew that I shouldn't have any hope. In the 7 years, everything I had done for him, when he wanted to start a business, I invested secretly. No matter how much I sacrificed for him, it couldn't compare to the lethality of his white moonlight. My innocent child, my 7-year youth. I closed my eyes, my nails digging into my flesh. Just wait. I will pay it back one by one. 3. My wedding with Phoenix was held as scheduled. Phoenix's eyes often followed the figure of someone. I looked in the direction of his gaze, and as expected, it was Tessa, so she was here too. It was so obvious, yet I had never noticed her before. Just right, the heroine of today has also arrived. Just as the host was reading the wedding wishes for the new couple, I interrupted in a timely manner, and everyone's attention was focused on me. When I spoke, I locked my eyes on the direction where Tessa was. "Today, I want to especially thank a lady. This lady is the woman the groom loves the most in his heart. She is dash." I stretched out my hand, and everyone looked in the direction I pointed. The person with a guilty conscience instantly became visibly flustered. Tessa, she was also my best friend. "Today, I want to give these 2 people a big gift. Look at the big screen." Everyone looked forward to this, expectantly. Before my words fell, the huge screen that was originally showing the happy photos of the bride and groom suddenly turned into a limited edition, high-definition, uncensored sex scene, and the protagonists were Phoenix and Tessa. The 2 were shamelessly entangled, and all kinds of vulgar and offensive words came out. Everyone looked at Tessa with some kind of self-evident gaze. Isn't this the groom and the bride's best friend? Oh my God, these 2 adulterers are so shameless. How heart-broken the bride must be. Look, this is still the bridal chamber in the picture. Such people should be drowned in a pig cage. Look, there's more. In the hotel, in the car. It's really amazing, wonderful. They really know how to play. TSK. Look at these difficult poses. Not just anyone can do them. I don't know how many years they've been having an affair. If I were the bride, I'd be so disgusted. The scumbag and the slut should both go to hell. Tessa couldn't bear the malicious gazes, comments, accusations, and insults from everyone. She could hardly accept that she appeared on the screen in such a way. Her face turned pale. She covered her face with her hands, and loudly denied, "This isn't me. This isn't me. You've got the wrong person. This is fake. Turn it off. Turn it off for me quickly." Phoenix was constantly busy trying to turn off the video, but he just couldn't. Sweating profusely, his expression tense, his face as black as the bottom of a pot. Finally, he turned his gaze to me, as if he was going to kill me the next second. "Emilia, what are you crazy about? Turn it off for me quickly, otherwise, don't expect me to marry you." I felt like my hand was about to be torn off, and a red mark instantly appeared on my wrist. I laughed, laughing at how despicable and pathetic I was in his eyes, to the extent that he used this to threaten me. "Phoenix, do I seem like such a despicable person, picking up any trash? Do you think I would still marry you after I found out about your affair? I did like you once, yes, but I'm not without dignity. Today, it's me, Emilia, who doesn't want you. You, Phoenix, don't deserve me either." Finally, Phoenix picked up a tool and smashed the big screen to pieces. He picked up the tool and walked towards me. I looked at him defensively. Maybe the next one to be smashed was me, fortunately. He just left a harsh word and didn't dare to smash me. Emilia, you bitch, even if you kneel down and beg me in the future, I won't look at you again. Presumably, he had already cut me to pieces in his heart. Phoenix really lost all his face today. I picked up my wedding dress and quickly left, no longer joining in the fun, afraid that if I was a little later, Phoenix wouldn't just smash me but would chop me with a 40-meter long knife. The main show was yet to come, for, at the same time, the limited edition, high-definition, uncensored exciting drama quickly spread on the internet. Just that at that time, everyone was too busy to pay attention to the internet. Although it wasn't online for long, it was enough to cause a heated discussion. The popularity kept rising. I spent a lot of money to hire a large number of online trolls to vividly retell the incident. Combined with the descriptions of the people who were present at that time, true or false, the facts were irreversible. It would only ferment more and more. I found that I was actually quite kind. At the critical moment of life and death, I still sent them to the trending list, allowing them to feel a wave of super high attention before death came. After returning home, I didn't even have time to take a sip of water. Immediately, I continued to prepare for renovating a sturdy residence and stockpiling supplies. The legend of the end of the world was said to appear in 2 months. At that time, Phoenix didn't believe these nonsense at all and didn't allow me to stockpile supplies, saying that it was all uneducated and low-class behavior. His contemptuous eyes and extremely disgusted tone when he spoke were still vivid in my mind. I wasn't at ease at that time and still made preparations in advance just in case. But later, Phoenix, who said he didn't believe it, used this as an excuse to hold a grand wedding with Tessa and register for marriage in the name of leaving no regrets before death. This time, I'll grant them their wish, let them get married and be locked together immediately. In my previous life, after I died, I had witnessed the destructive power of the end of the world zombies. Wherever they went, with little effort, in an instant, it turned into a ruin. With no survivors, people were like ants in front of them. I went to the property in the suburbs, spent a huge amount of money to hire professional old craftsmen in this field, and used the hardest materials to reinforce and strengthen the basement and the exterior of the house, especially the basement. I paid 5 times the labor cost to make the masters work overtime to finish it within 1 month. I also made a list and stocked up all the food and daily necessities that could be stored for a long time, filling several rooms in the basement. I also expanded a part of the basement, set the things that might be used at that time, the possible dangers, and how I should deal with them and get through the difficulties. During this period, Phoenix was looking for me everywhere. Those who didn't know might think he had turned over a new leaf, but I knew why he was looking for me. Phoenix came in a hurry, looking a bit haggard. Emilia, I never thought you would do such a cruel thing. Tessa is a girl. Are you trying to force her to death? How can she show her face outside in the future? Why did you sell the new wedding house and the house where my parents live and drive them out? They are your elders. You also threw away all my things. Those houses were the ones you said you were going to transfer to my name. Besides, you have so many properties. What's wrong with giving them to us and the company? This matter has seriously affected the company's interests. You are really too naive and selfish. Tessa was crying softly, covering her face. Phoenix felt even more distressed when he saw this and hugged her to comfort her. Phoenix, if this is the price to be with you, I don't care. Sister Emilia has every right to be angry. It's all my fault. Tessa was clinging to Phoenix like a tree, kangaroo, being hypocritical and making people feel sick. Sister Emilia, I'm sorry, I stole Phoenix from you. If you want to take revenge, take it out on me. Please don't hate Phoenix. I'm sorry to you. I'll break up with Phoenix immediately. Please be merciful and spare Phoenix's company. It's the hard work of his many years. I watched the two of them singing in unison. It was quite interesting. Well, there was simply no room for me to speak. Tessa, this has nothing to do with you. You don't have to be humble in front of her. Emilia, I know you just want to see me by this means. Now that I'm here and you've seen me, can you stop the investors from withdrawing their capital? I can meet any of your conditions, but I won't marry you. Give up. It's impossible for us. I love Tessa. I burst out laughing, feeling like I was listening to a joke. Bah, Phoenix, who on earth gave you the confidence to think that I still like you? They are my things. I can sell them if I want. What business is it of yours? I just made public the disgusting things you did. If you hadn't done them, how could others have caught you? Phoenix, let me tell you the truth. Those who invested in you at the beginning did it because of the group behind me. Otherwise, do you really think you can reach the sky with your ability? You should weigh yourself. Without me, you, Phoenix, are nothing in Nanchang. Phoenix looked embarrassed, and his expression told me that he didn't believe what I said. Tessa added fuel to the fire. Phoenix, forget it. Sister Amelia's parents passed away early. Inevitably, the next second, a red handprint appeared on Tessa's face. My hearing is still good. I don't want to hear a single word about my parents from these people's mouths. Tessa, who do you think you are to mention my parents? Amelia, I think you're really crazy. Why did you hit someone? You're simply a shrew, a lunatic. I picked up the chair next to me and threw it at Phoenix, since you know I'm a lunatic. You still dare to come to me, you're courting death. The two of them were dodging while pointing at me and swearing, and the words were really dirty. They completely forgot who they had just been scolding as a shrew, being strict with others and lenient with oneself. Bah, actually, before we got married, Phoenix's company had just gotten on the right track, and he really thought that all of this was due to his own efforts. Little did he know that there were too many people in the world who were willing to work hard, and not everyone would succeed. He was just a bit luckier than others. I once liked him and couldn't bear to see his efforts go to waste, so I secretly helped him behind the scenes. But he didn't know, this time, without my help. Let's see how lucky he is. Those old foxes are all good at being opportunistic. Now that I've fallen out with Phoenix, who would still dare to cooperate with his company? He's already cornered without me having to kick him when he's down, but unexpectedly, the end of the world came early this time. 5. I quickly ordered people to speed up. Fortunately, the work was coming to an end. Watching the staff continuously move the supplies to the basement, Phoenix looked at me in confusion, while Tessa, on the side, after seeing the doomsday news posted online, handed her phone to him. After reading the news, Phoenix reacted the same way as last time. His face was full of absurdity, changing from confusion to looking at me with the eyes of someone who thinks I'm crazy as I directed the staff. Amelia, you don't believe in this so-called doomsday, do you? It's simply nonsense. Only a fool would believe this. Ridiculous. Extremely stupid. Phoenix was about to continue taunting when his parents, who somehow learned the news, rushed over in a hurry. Amelia, what's going on with this house? Your uncle and I were living here well. Why did you suddenly sell it without discussing it with us? We've treated you like our own daughter. You're supposed to take care of us in our old age. Hire a few more servants. That way, you don't have to come and see us often. Just send money regularly every month. Although you and Phoenix can't be husband and wife, you've got a good brother. We're still a family. Besides, you have so much property. How can you spend it all by yourself? We're doing this for your own good. To share your burden. You know what kind of people we are. We're honest people. Yes, Amelia, what you did really isn't kind, but your uncle knows you're definitely not that kind of person. You must be too busy to arrange things for your aunt and me, right? Well, they were really honest people ever since Phoenix and I got together. After the two elders came to my house once, they just stayed. My parents passed away early, and I wasn't used to living with elders. That's why I suggested finding a more comfortable place for them to move to. They've been living there until now. If nothing had happened between Phoenix and me, it wouldn't have mattered. Not only did they live in my house, but I also sent them living expenses regularly every month and hired servants to take care of their daily lives. They didn't have to do anything, and Phoenix hardly ever asked about his parents' affairs. Even the wedding was all arranged by me. There was no betrothal gift. No gold jewelry. I planned and followed up on everything alone. They didn't have to worry about anything, just go through the motions. Fortunately, I was too busy at that time and didn't have time to transfer the house to Phoenix's name. Although these houses were nothing to me, why should I give them away for nothing? Uncle, aunt, now the group's funds are in short supply and urgently need money for turnover. So I sold all the assets in my name and still owe tens of millions. Since uncle and aunt treat me like a daughter, when your daughter is in trouble, you'll definitely help me, right? The two were stunned and immediately changed their expressions, looking as if they didn't know me. Then they seemed a bit disbelieving and looked at their son. Phoenix looked angry. Amelia, do you have to lie to them too? I shrugged innocently. I really am short of money. These things would all be destroyed in an instant in the future. So I quickly sold them. Phoenix couldn't stand such humiliation and turned to his parents and said, Mom and Dad, I'll take care of you in your old age. Don't worry, you don't have to beg others. Phoenix's mother wouldn't listen. The duck in hand couldn't fly away. Tessa is pregnant with your child, and your company is in such a state now. There will be a lot of places to spend money in the future. Why don't you still marry Amelia? This way, her money will also be yours. Tessa can live with your dad and me. We'll take good care of her and the child. I was completely shocked at that time. Amelia, what do you think? You also like Phoenix. I promise that our family will only recognize you as the daughter. In law, you know, for a man, it's normal to have a few women outside. You should be more generous. Was the world crazy, or was there something wrong with me? Aunt, you also agree with the women that uncle keeps outside, right? She immediately got angry. How dare he? I'll chop him to death. 6. He really dared and had done so. I also found out when looking for evidence last time. If they hadn't come today, these things wouldn't have been brought up. He immediately retorted, Amelia, don't talk nonsense and stir up trouble in our marriage. Why is your heart so bad? Little girl, listening carefully, there was a hint of weakness in his words. I flipped through the information sent to me that day, which also had a copy about Phoenix's father. The degree of promiscuity was no less than Phoenix's, and it was 100 times more exciting than Phoenix's affairs. Sure enough, like father, like son, I kindly handed the phone to Phoenix's mother. The father-son duo reached out to snatch it, but it was too late. Oh, so Phoenix also knew about his father's dirty deeds. It seemed that only Phoenix's mother was kept in the dark. The more Phoenix's mother looked at it, the more ferocious her expression became, and she gritted her teeth and roared, Dante, you old bastard, how dare you fool around outside behind my back and even infect me with a venereal disease. I'll kill you, you shameless old thing. She picked up a weapon and chased Phoenix's father to beat him. Since moving into the mansion I prepared for them. Phoenix's father had been using his status as an elder to make connections. He had hooked up with many servants from wealthy families. He was having a great time and reluctant to leave. Phoenix glared at me with hateful eyes, as if he wanted to stare a hole through me. Amelia, do you have to make my family restless to be happy? I shouldn't have saved you in the first place. I should have let those punks torture you to death, so you wouldn't have ruined other people's families. How dare this person mention this matter? Phoenix, how dare you mention this? Do you really think I don't know that those punks were found by you? I also found this out when looking for evidence later. It was all about my money from the beginning. Staging a hero saves the beauty scene. Indeed, with his good looks, it worked well. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been so infatuated with him in my previous life. I called a few bodyguards and pointed at Phoenix. Take off all his clothes. Just leave his underwear. Save my eyes. Then throw these people out and don't let them come near here again. Phoenix looked at the people in front of him in disbelief and struggled desperately. Amelia, you're going too far. What right do you have to do this? I'll call the police and arrest you. In a few moves, Phoenix was left with only a pair of boxer shorts, and Phoenix's father, Phoenix's mother, and Tessa had long been driven out. At this time, Phoenix, naked, was swearing at me as I was drinking tea, like a shrew cursing in the street. Amelia, you slut, you're promiscuous, shameless. Even the passing dogs thought his words were too dirty and barked at Phoenix a few times. Passers-by pointed at him and whispered. Phoenix covered his face and ran away. The few bodyguards behind couldn't help laughing. After the doomsday news was announced, there were 3 factions in the online discussion. Most people believed it, and the supplies on major online platforms were snapped up within half a day. There were also many people who thought it was nonsense and just a marketing ploy to drive up prices. Like Phoenix, there were those who were neutral, half believing, but still casually preparing. While everyone was scrambling for supplies, I was already lying on the balcony of my house, enjoying the beautiful scenery before the end of the world. If Phoenix and the others hadn't appeared in front of me, I think my mood would have been better. When I thought they were coming to pick a fight with me again, they actually had the look of coming to propose marriage. Their attitude did a 180-degree turn. 7. Emilia, we were so rude before, now we've come to apologize. You're magnanimous, don't be like us uneducated people, Phoenix's mother said, and casually handed me the fruits in a red plastic bag. I waved my hand to refuse. Who knew if there was poison in it? Come on. I have nothing to do with your family now. Didn't you say a few days ago that you were going to call the police and arrest me? I didn't hear wrong, did I, Phoenix? Didn't you also say that I'm promiscuous, shameless, and so on? There were so many words, I can't remember them all. Why don't you say them again for me to hear? You scolded me so smoothly that day. Looking at the suppressed anger on Phoenix's face, needless to say, it was really satisfying. Phoenix stammered and spoke hesitantly like a girl. That day I spoke out of turn. It was my fault. I apologize to you. I'm sorry. The last few words were hardly audible. What did you say? I didn't hear you clearly. Emilia, I'm sorry. All right, you've apologized. You can leave now. I won't see you out. I stood at the gate, didn't let them in, and closed the door again. Phoenix's mother quickly climbed up and tightly grasped the railing of the gate. Emilia, are you not angry anymore? Can you return the house to us? We're all staying in a hotel now. The sound insulation is poor, and the environment is harsh. Please return the house to us. We're old and can't take this kind of trouble anymore. Also, about Phoenix's company, you should go and take care of it, right? He hasn't been able to eat or sleep well these days because of these things. He's lost several pounds. If you don't help him, he won't be able to hold on this time. You were together once, weren't you? For the sake of how good he was to you in the past, you can't just ignore him. Listening to Phoenix's mother's words, I then looked at Phoenix. I wondered if he would feel guilty when he heard these. He was good to me. I'm afraid it's the other way around. One last piece of advice for you. Don't worry about these things. If you want to survive, stock up on food today and find a place to hide. What's announced online is all true. The scene is 100 times more terrifying than all the horror movies you've ever seen. I just mentioned it out of kindness. Whether they believed it or not was none of my business. Phoenix's heart wavered a bit, but at this time, Tessa stood up indignantly. Sister Emilia, if you don't want to help, then don't. There's no need to use these absurd reasons to fob us off. Phoenix's father and Phoenix's mother echoed, still not believing. At this moment, the sky suddenly changed, turning blood red, and it was getting redder and redder, but they didn't notice, or if they did, they didn't believe it. They left, cursing. As a result, after that night, the sky never brightened again. 8. On the first night of the doomsday, screams continued without end, resounding throughout the sky. No one knew where those zombies came from. The roars, bites of the zombies, the chasing, screams, and cries of humans filled the whole world. I hid in the basement and observed the outside situation through the surveillance. On major platforms, people risked their lives to live broadcast the real-time situation. As I watched, the anchors were torn apart in front of the screen while broadcasting. Death, horror, and blood filled the whole world. No one knew how long this dark and bloody doomsday would last. At this time, Phoenix and his group appeared again in the video surveillance outside my house, shouting for help. Help, Emilia, we believe you now, please let us in. The noise outside lasted for a long time. I watched them arguing and pushing in the surveillance. This area hadn't been invaded yet. There were no survivors in front of the live broadcast cameras. Only the equipment was still playing continuously. Those zombies had ferocious and terrifying faces, protruding eyes, and long and sharp fangs. Even if half of their face was bitten off, they could still get up and continue biting people. There were scenes of people eating and biting each other everywhere. There was also a half-grown child sitting on the ground, wailing loudly. The crying attracted zombies. The child didn't know what zombies were and even reached out for a hug, but what responded to him was the inhumane biting and chewing of the zombies. The moving speed of the zombies was the same as that of humans. They bit whoever they saw. The ground was dyed red with blood. Everywhere there were roars, screams, and cries, mixed together. At this moment, it seemed like a living hell. It would soon spread here. Phoenix's family climbed over the high wall and entered my yard. Phoenix's father was the last one to climb. When he was about to turn over, his leg cramped, and at this time, the zombie horde was almost here. Phoenix's father shouted anxiously from above, "Hurry, hurry up and save me." 9. When the others saw the zombies behind them, they immediately ran towards the house. In the face of life and death, human nature is selfish. When Phoenix's father looked down and saw the zombies, his pants were soaked with a large amount of liquid, which also dripped onto the ground. As Phoenix's father's screams gradually weakened until they couldn't be heard anymore, the person was gone, leaving only a puddle of water and blood on the ground. My house had been reinforced with multiple layers, and the zombies were trapped outside and couldn't get in. After Phoenix and the others felt a little relieved, they rummaged around my house for food again. They had been running for a long time and were really hungry, and there wasn't much food in the house. All of it had been moved to the basement by me. Phoenix found the remaining food in the fridge. It was enough for the three of them to last for a few days. So the few people continued to rummage through boxes and cabinets. I saw Phoenix looking intently at a piece of information in my bedroom, but his face seemed very ugly. I thought for a while and finally knew what he was looking at. Phoenix tightly clenched the information in his hand, as if he wanted to crush it. He strode to the living room and locked onto the figure. He turned over Tessa, who was sitting in the living room and still in a daze. He slapped Tessa hard in the face. "Bitch, how dare you lie to me? Tell me, whose bastard child is this?" Tessa was slapped awake this time. "Phoenix, how can you hit me? This child is yours. You still don't admit it. Look for yourself." Phoenix threw the information onto Tessa's face. Tessa picked it up with trembling hands. It was about the several men she had found because she couldn't stand being lonely. Each time it was a different group of men. "No, this isn't me. It must be Amelia who framed me. This is fake, fake." Phoenix then took out a USB drive and opened it on the device. Immediately, an unsightly and promiscuous video came out. "Is this video fake too, Tessa? So you're the one who's really despicable, you slut." Hearing the commotion downstairs, Phoenix's mother quickly came down. As a result, she saw those promiscuous scenes on the screen. You, pointing at Tessa, she was speechless. This was really an eye-opener. Without saying a word, Phoenix grabbed Tessa and pushed her outside. Besides life and death, a man's dignity is equally important. Moreover, he had such a huge cuckold on his head. She had also made him lose everything. "What are you doing? Let go of me. There are zombies outside. You can't push me out. I'll die. I'll die." Tessa had a deep shadow from seeing the scene where Phoenix's father was instantly torn apart by zombies. Just thinking about it made her whole body tremble uncontrollably. A slut like you deserves to be torn apart by zombies. There are so many outside. This time it should be enough to satisfy you. Just thinking about being cuckolded, Phoenix couldn't help but want to kill. He had actually raised someone else's bastard child and given up everything for such a slut. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. He completely ignored the fact that Tessa was a pregnant woman now. He punched and kicked Tessa, and even picked up a big object and hit her with it. Tessa curled up on the ground, protecting her head with one hand and her belly with the other, constantly begging for mercy. But Phoenix was indifferent, like he was possessed, beating her to death. Phoenix's mother watched from the side, shouting that it was a good beating. Such a promiscuous woman deserved to be beaten to death. Tessa had already been frightened, and now she was being brutally beaten. Soon, there was blood under her body. Seeing the bright red blood, Phoenix showed a strange smile. He mumbled to himself, "The bastard child is gone. The bastard child is gone. I'm going to beat you, this adulterous woman, to death. How dare you lie to me, make me wear a cuckold, and push me to a dead end. It's all because of you. You deserve to die. You deserve to die." Tessa's pleas for mercy became weaker and weaker, and finally there was no sound at all. When she died, her eyes were still open. Even after her death, she was still being beaten until Phoenix was too tired to continue. "She's dead. Good that she's dead. She's a damned slut." Looking at Phoenix's inhumane appearance, I wasn't surprised at all. I just felt cold-hearted. Human nature is even more terrifying than zombies. 10. After Tessa's body was ruthlessly thrown down from the top floor by Phoenix and his mother, it was immediately torn to pieces by zombies. Outside, zombies were running amok. The cries of the wounded filled the air. The smell of blood enveloped the entire earth, and it was pitch black. No one knew when the sky would brighten. Although I was relatively safe in the basement and didn't lack food, My heart was already filled with panic, but Phoenix and Phoenix's mother were not doing well. They were short of food and would starve to death if they continued to be hungry, but they couldn't go out either. Once they went out, they would surely die. Although my house had been reinforced, I wasn't sure how long it could resist. I was still thinking about whether to secretly send them some food. It was better than watching them starve to death. Having one more person to accompany me would also make me less afraid. Anyway, they didn't know I was there. When I looked at the surveillance again, Phoenix's mother was gone. Only Phoenix was in the kitchen, not knowing what he was chopping. Suddenly, I felt a chill down my back. I enlarged the screen and took a look. Phoenix was chopping fresh meat. Phoenix's mother was gone, and there was no food left in the house long ago. I felt a wave of nausea. Phoenix had killed his mother. I couldn't bear to watch anymore and slowly hugged myself. Obviously, it was still June, but it was so cold here. No matter how much I tried, I couldn't get warm. The 7th day after the zombie outbreak, the 8th day, the 29th day. Many of the devices outside had been damaged, and all that could be seen was a pile of ruins. At the wedding, Phoenix mentioned in public, finally, it seemed to have become a paradise for zombies. I talked to myself every day, did some exercise, and tried to calm my mind. Hold on, it will always pass. That's what I told myself. At this time, in the surveillance screen, a group of zombies was attacking the periphery of the house. The entire big house was being hit and was on the verge of collapsing. My heart also became uneasy. Phoenix was so hungry that he fell to the ground and was too weak to struggle. He could only slowly try to hide in a hidden corner, but the zombie horde had already swarmed in. Phoenix opened his eyes wide in horror, feeling the fear of instant death. Since the house couldn't withstand the impact of the zombie horde, it collapsed not long after. My connection with the outside world was also cut off. I did the same things every day. I couldn't remember how many days had passed. Looking at the dwindling food, the fear in my heart was constantly spreading. I didn't know how long the things I had stored could last, nor did I know what was going on outside. I wondered if there would be a rescue team to rescue the survivors. Finally, in the 7th month of the doomsday, I saw the figure of a human appear again on the live broadcast of